Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something that you might not expect. We're talking about the power of hobbies to actually boost your career.
Interesting.
So we've got a whole stack of resources here from Rezoom. That's a website all about resumes and cover letters.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
So they're making this really interesting case that hobbies aren't just for fun. They can actually be like secret weapons in your job search.
Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating way to think about it, right? I mean, we often see hobbies as just kind of this separate thing from our work lives, but these resources are really arguing that they can actually be really valuable assets to your career.
Yeah, like suddenly my weekend pottery class is like a professional development seminar or something.
Exactly.
But seriously, Rezoom is highlighting some pretty compelling benefits here. One that really caught my eye was stress reduction and work-life balance.
Yeah, that's a huge one, especially in today's world, right? Everything's going a mile a minute. So many people are feeling stressed and burned out. So having that hobby, something you genuinely enjoy outside of work, can be an amazing outlet for stress.
Yeah, totally. It's like hitting the reset button, you know?
Yeah.
You can come back to work feeling like refreshed and more focused and stuff. I think Rezoom even cited some studies showing that employees with hobbies tend to be more engaged and productive at work.
Right, it makes sense. When you've got something that you're passionate about outside of work, it can actually give you more energy and focus for your job.
Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit. Rezoom calls these transferable skills. What exactly does that mean?
Well, think about it this way. Every single hobby that you engage in requires you to develop certain abilities, right? It could be things like communication, problem solving, leadership, maybe even creativity.
I see.
And all of those skills can then be applied to a bunch of different professional settings.
So it's not just about listing like photography on your resume, right?
Yeah.
It's about being able to explain how that hobby actually helped you develop an eye for detail or the ability to tell a story visually, stuff like that.
Exactly. Right.
Skills that could be valuable in, I don't know, marketing or design or even data analysis, all sorts of things.
It's all about making those connections for employers, right? Showing them how your passions have actually shaped you
Yeah.
into this well-rounded candidate.
Yeah.
And, you know, Resume makes this really interesting point. It's not just about skills. It's also about how hobbies can enhance your professional image and your cultural fit.
Tell me more about that.
Well, they're arguing that when you've got a diverse set of hobbies, it signals to employers that you're a curious person, an adaptable person. You're not afraid to step outside your comfort zone and try new things.
And those are super valuable qualities in today's workplace, right?
Yeah.
Where everything's changing all the time.
All the time. So it's not just about having like one impressive hobby. It's more about having a whole collection of activities that show off all the different sides of your personality.
Right, like it shows that you're a more well-rounded person.
Absolutely. And it can actually help you connect with potential employers on a more personal level too.
Oh, how so?
Well, imagine you're in a job interview, right? And you suddenly find out that you and the interviewer both love to, I don't know, rock climb.
Right.
That shared interest can create a real sense of rapport, you know, and make you stand out as a more memorable candidate.
It's like finding common ground. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which can be so huge for building relationships, whether it's with your colleagues, your clients, or even, yeah, potential employers.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've established that hobbies are more than just leisure activities. But how do we choose the right hobbies? I mean, not every hobby is going to be a career booster, right?
You're absolutely right. And thankfully, Resume offers some criteria for how to choose those hobbies that are actually going to benefit your career. And the first, and I think most important one, is authentic interest.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got to actually enjoy it.
Exactly. I mean, if you're not genuinely passionate about something, you're not going to stick with it long enough to get those benefits.
Yeah, you'll just end up feeling stressed and resentful, and that defeats the whole purpose, right?
Exactly. But it's not just about enjoyment. There are some other factors to consider, too.
Like what?
Well, Resume talks about aligning your hobbies with your personal and professional goals. So, for example, if you're trying to become a project manager, you know,
Yeah.
a hobby that involves planning and organization, like maybe event planning or even gardening.
Right.
Those could be great ways to develop those skills in a more practical, hands-on environment.
It's like showing, not just telling, right?
Yeah.
You're not just saying, I'm organized. You're actually demonstrating it through your actions.
Exactly. So you're not just picking random hobbies off a list. You're actually being strategic about how they can support your overall goals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And that leads us to another key criterion, practicality and accessibility.
Okay, what does that mean in the context of hobbies?
Well, I mean, as much as we might all dream of becoming expert equestrians or sailing around the world, those hobbies just might not be feasible for everyone
Right.
due to things like cost, time constraints, or even just where you live.
Makes sense. So Rezoom is basically saying, choose hobbies that fit your budget, your schedule, and your lifestyle.
Exactly. If a hobby's going to cause you more stress than it relieves, it's probably not the right fit.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, they encourage us to embrace diversity in our list of hobbies.
Yeah.
So it's not just about having one star hobby, but having a whole collection of activities that showcase a range of your skills and interests.
Right.
Rezoom actually breaks down some common hobby categories, and I think that this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, let's dive into those.
Okay, they start with creative hobbies. So things like painting, drawing, photography, writing, anything that allows you to express yourself artistically
Right.
and develop your creative thinking.
And these hobbies can be super valuable even if you're not pursuing a career in the arts. Think about it, being able to communicate visually, tell a story, or even just capture people's attention through images. Those are skills that can apply to so many different professions.
Oh, for sure.
And let's not forget about playing a musical instrument either. I mean, that requires so much discipline, patience, the ability to persevere through challenges, all qualities that employers look for.
Absolutely.
And then there's the whole category of physical and outdoor hobbies. Team sports like soccer, basketball, volleyball. Those can teach you a lot about teamwork, leadership, and strategic thinking.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And individual sports like running, swimming, yoga, those can be awesome for self-motivation, discipline, even just learning to manage stress under pressure, right?
Right. And who doesn't love a good hike or a camping trip? Rezoom even highlights how those activities can foster adaptability and resilience and even just a deeper appreciation for nature.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our creative types, our athletes. What's next?
Well, next we have the intellectual and skill-building hobbies.
Okay.
Things like, reading,
point here.
whether it's fiction or nonfiction or even industry-specific publications,
Yeah.
that can really expand your knowledge base, enhance your analytical thinking skills, and even just broaden your cultural awareness.
Yeah, I'm a big reader myself, and I've definitely noticed how it's helped me develop my vocabulary, my writing skills, even my ability to see different perspectives, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And learning a new language is another fantastic example.
Right.
Not only does it improve your communication skills, but it also teaches you patience, cultural sensitivity, and just a more global mindset.
Totally. And let's not forget about strategy games, too. Whether it's chess or Go, or even just a complex board game, those can really sharpen your logic and your decision-making and your problem-solving abilities.
It's like a mental workout.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so then we have these social and community-focused hobbies.
Right. Things like volunteering, participating in debate clubs, or joining public speaking groups.
Volunteering, that's a huge one, right? It
Yeah.
shows potential employers that you're not just focused on yourself, but you're also committed to making a positive impact on your community.
And it also demonstrates empathy, teamwork skills, and a willingness to take initiative.
And for folks who are interested in public speaking or leadership roles, debate clubs or organizations like Toastmasters can be incredibly valuable, right?
Oh, absolutely. They give you this safe space to practice those skills and really build your confidence.
Yeah.
And Rezoom also mentioned things like cultural exchange programs or group trips as fantastic ways to enhance your open-mindedness, your adaptability, and your cross-cultural communication skills.
For sure. Those are becoming more and more valuable in today's world, right? Where we're constantly interacting with people from all different cultures and backgrounds.
All the time.
Okay, so we've covered creative, physical, intellectual, social. What's left?
Ah, yes. We can't forget about tech and digital hobbies.
Oh, yeah.
Things like coding, web development, podcasting, video editing, all those things are highly sought after by employers in all sorts of industries.
It's amazing how many hobbies can actually translate into real professional skills.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. So let's say you've found your passions, you're building all these amazing skills, but how do you actually present these hobbies professionally? I mean, you can't just walk into an interview and be like, hey, I'm a rock star at knitting, hire me.
Right. It's not quite that simple.
No.
But that's where Rezoom really comes in. They've got some really practical advice for how to showcase your hobbies, both on your resume and in job interviews.
Okay, all ears.
So the key takeaway here is to focus on those transferable skills that you've developed, not just the hobby itself. So instead of just saying, I'm a photographer, you might say something like, I have a strong eye for detail, and I'm really good at telling a story through visuals.
So it's all about connecting the dots for those potential employers, showing
Ex
them how this seemingly unrelated hobby has actually given you some really valuable skills.
exactly. And Rezoom also emphasizes tailoring the hobbies that you mention to the specific job that you're applying for.
Okay.
So if you're applying for a design job, mentioning your experience with digital art or photography would be more relevant than, say, your love of hiking, even if you're a really experienced hiker.
Right, so it's about being strategic and showing that you put some thought into how your hobbies actually align with the role you're applying for.
Exactly. And finally, Rezoom stresses the importance of being prepared to talk about how your hobbies have actually contributed to your personal and professional growth.
So you're not just listing your hobbies, you're telling a story about how they've shaped you and what you've learned from them.
Precisely. You want to be able to explain how your passion for, let's say, pottery has taught you patience and problem-solving skills and an appreciation for the creative process.
Right.
All of those things can be really valuable in a fast-paced work environment.
Yeah, for sure. This is such a cool way to think about it. Like, suddenly, our hobbies aren't just things we do in our spare time.
Right.
They're like integral parts of our professional development.
Exactly. And what's even more interesting is that Resume reminds us that our hobbies shouldn't stay the same forever. They should evolve with us as we grow and change.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Our interests change, our goals shift, and our hobbies should reflect that growth.
It's about staying dynamic and engaged. If a hobby is no longer bringing you joy, or if it's not really contributing to your development anymore, maybe it's time to rethink its place in your life.
And that opens up space to explore something new.
Exactly.
So our hobbies are like a reflection of who we are at any given moment.
Right.
And they should evolve along with us as we go through life.
It's a journey of self-discovery, both personally and professionally. We'll be back in a flash to talk more about that journey and how to navigate it. Welcome back to the deep dive. Before we went to commercial, we were talking about how our hobbies should evolve with us as we grow and change.
Right. It's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Yeah.
As our interests change, our goals change. And the activities we choose to spend our time on should reflect that evolution. But how do we actually know when it's time to let go of a hobby that's not really serving us anymore?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, sometimes it can feel like breaking up with an old friend, But I think the key is to be honest with yourself about why you're holding on to that particular hobby in the first place.
So if it's not really bringing you joy anymore, or if it's become more of an obligation than a passion, maybe it's time to reevaluate its place in your life.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean you have to totally abandon it. Maybe you just need to adjust your approach to it or the amount of time that you're dedicating to it.
Right, like maybe instead of playing in a competitive soccer league every weekend, you switch to a more casual pickup game with friends once a month.
Yeah, that's a great example. Or maybe you were really into photography back in college, but now you're finding yourself more drawn to writing or something.
Right.
There's no shame in letting go of hobbies that just aren't resonating with you anymore.
Yeah, it actually creates space for you to explore new interests and maybe discover some hidden talents you didn't even know you had.
Absolutely. And Resume actually has some advice for finding and showcasing those new hobbies. They suggest checking out sites like The Balance Careers for tips on how to actually list your hobbies effectively on your resume.
Practical tips, I like it.
Yeah, exactly. And they also recommend exploring online learning platforms like Coursera or Udemy.
Oh yeah, those are great.
Yeah, those can be amazing resources for discovering all sorts of new skills and interests. You can take courses on anything from, coding and graphic design to creative writing and mindfulness.
It's like this whole buffet of personal and professional development all at your fingertips.
It really is.
And you never know. What starts as like a casual online course could turn into, a lifelong passion or even like a whole career change.
Exactly. It's all about having that growth mindset and just being open to new experiences.
Yeah.
And speaking of new experiences, Rezoom also reminds us not to underestimate the power of our local communities.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. I think sometimes we get so focused on our online lives that we forget about all the amazing opportunities that are right in our own backyards.
Right. I mean, local clubs, community centers, even professional associations, those can all be great places to find group activities and connect with people who share your passions.
So you can join a book club, a hiking group, a pottery class. The possibilities are endless.
Exactly. It's about getting out there and actually interacting with people in real life. It's so easy to get stuck in our own little bubbles, but there's a whole world of opportunities just waiting for us right outside our door.
And those opportunities can not only enrich our personal lives,
Yeah,
but they can also have a huge impact on our professional journeys.
absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the how of hobbies, how to choose them, how to showcase them, how to let them evolve. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about the why. Why should our listeners actually care about all of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the answer goes way beyond just like boosting your resume or impressing potential employers. It's about recognizing that hobbies aren't just frivolous pastimes. They're actually investments in our overall well-being.
I think sometimes we get so caught up in the hustle of work and daily life that we forget to just, pursue activities for the pure joy of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ironically, those activities can actually make us more successful in our careers too.
It's true. Ronzo makes a really good point, which is that hobbies can help us develop those valuable skills. They can expand our networks. They can help us manage stress better. And they can even help us present this more well-rounded image to those potential employers.
It's like having hobbies makes us more well-rounded individuals, period, both personally and professionally.
Exactly. It's about seeing how everything in our lives is interconnected. What we do for fun can actually inform and enhance what we do for work and vice versa.
And sometimes a hobby can even turn into a full-blown career,
Yeah.
right? But even if it doesn't, it can still bring so much value to our lives.
Yeah, it can provide us with this sense of purpose, a creative outlet, a way to connect with others, a way to de-stress and recharge.
I think Rezoom really nailed it when they said that building this well-rounded list of hobbies is an investment in both your personal life and your professional journey.
Absolutely.
It's about prioritizing activities that bring you joy, that challenge you, that help you grow.
Exactly.
And it's also about recognizing that your ideal list of hobbies is going to be unique to you, right? Your interest, your aspirations.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. But I think the main takeaway here is to be intentional about your hobbies. Don't just let them happen, cultivate them.
Right.
Choose activities that you're genuinely excited about, that align with your goals, and that enhance those valuable skills.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to try new things either. You never know what hidden talents or passions you might discover.
I love that sense of curiosity and adventure.
Exactly. And this is where I think, Rezoom's advice about using those online learning platforms and exploring your local resources is so valuable.
Yeah.
It's about expanding your horizons, stepping outside that comfort zone. Who knows, you might just find your next favorite hobby,
Right.
and it might even boost your career prospects in the process.
Yeah. Or even if it doesn't directly lead to a job offer, it's still an investment in your overall well-being.
Which, at the end of the day, is what really matters.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up this episode, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought, something to ponder as you go about your day.
Okay, hit me with it.
Here's the question. What one hobby could you explore or re-engage with today that would enrich your life and enhance your career prospects?
I love that challenge. It could be something you've always been curious about, a childhood passion that you've kind of neglected, or even just a new way to approach a hobby that you're already doing. The key is to take action. Don't just think about it, actually do it.
Sign up for that pottery class, join that book club, dust off that old guitar, download that coding app. Make today the day that you invested yourself and unlock the power of hobbies.
Yeah. And remember, it's never too late to start. You don't have to wait for the perfect time or the perfect opportunity. Just take that first step and see where it leads you.
I think that's a great note to end on. We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up this whole deep dive into the power of hobbies, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We've been spending this episode talking about the often overlooked power of hobbies, not just for personal enjoyment, but for professional growth as well. Yeah, we've been using insights from this website, Rezoom. It's all about resumes and cover letters, and they've really changed the way we think about our hobbies. It's not just about listing them to fill space on a resume. It's about recognizing the actual skills we develop and the connections that we make through these activities.
Right. It's like this whole hidden dimension to hobbies that we've just been ignoring.
For sure.
And Rezoom gave us some great actionable advice too. Everything from choosing hobbies strategically to showcasing them effectively on a resume or in an interview to even knowing when it's time to let go of hobbies that aren't really serving us anymore.
Exactly. And I think even more important, we talked about why this all matters. It's about becoming well-rounded individuals, right?
Sure.
It's about managing stress, finding new avenues for growth, and even potentially uncovering brand new career paths.
Yeah, it's almost like Rezoom is giving us permission to be passionate about our hobbies, to actually see them as valuable parts of our lives, not just distractions from serious work.
Absolutely. And I think that shift in perspective can be so empowering. It lets us approach our hobbies with intention, to see them as opportunities for learning and growth, and even to connect with other people who share our passions.
Yeah. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to that challenge we left you with. What's one hobby that you could explore or re-engage with today that could enrich your life and enhance your career prospects?
Right. It doesn't have to be something super huge or expensive. It could be as simple as, picking up that old guitar again, or joining a book club, or even just taking an hour to learn something new online.
The key is to just take that first step, embrace that sense of curiosity and exploration, and you never know where it might lead.
And remember, the cool thing about hobbies is that there's really no right or wrong answer. It's all about finding what brings you joy, what challenges you, and what helps you grow.
So go out there, explore those passions, and unlock the power of hobbies. Until next time, keep diving deep.